Hi, guys. I hope you all are well. I had some thoughts I wanted to share again today. A short video. I don't like to do I want to pick on this verse or people understand this verse wrong and then I want to explain it better. Generally, pretty fruitless effort. But sometimes a misunderstanding of something really simple actually tends to strip the power from it. And so, what I want to do is I want to talk about one verse that's very well known and almost always misunderstood. For very oddly, it's misunderstood, and I don't know why. But so in the start of Hebrews 12, so you have this well-known passage here. Therefore, since we have so great a cloud of witnesses surrounding us, let us lay aside every encumbrance and the sin which so easily entangles us, and let us run with endurance the race that is set before us. So, who is this great cloud of onlookers? That's what I want to talk about. That's what I want to talk about. So, the issue is what we just finished up, of course, was Hebrews chapter 11, which some Bible teachers call that the Hall of Faith. But really, what it is it's a history of saints from the Hebrew Bible, and even through some of the intertestamental literature. They're going to bring up some of those, perhaps a reference to the sons of the Maccabees, and even the death, the martyrs of the martyrdom of the prophets, which is an intertestamental literature, Second Temple lit. And but what they're going to do is they're going to do what God always does. And God sets, not saying that there are onlookers and that ought to motivate your obedience and perseverance, because that's the framework for the whole book, right? Starting in Hebrews 1, it's very clear he's trying to motivate them to persevere in their faith due to some challenges that are going on. In chapter 10, we have, listen, remember when you were enlightened in the former days, and how you endured a great conflict of suffering, and you joyfully accepted the seizure of your property because you were convinced that you had a better and lasting possession coming. And so he's exhorting them constantly to not lose heart in this way of life when they would endure suffering with joy, because they were so convinced about what was coming and it was worth it. But apparently they'd forgotten, and they were not remembering this. And so he's going to exhort them, and he's going to say, you have need of endurance. I don't have this section open. You have need of endurance so that when you've done the will of God, you might inherit the promises. Because the one who's coming will come, and he will not delay. He's quoting the Septuagint of Habakkuk 2. But my righteous one will live by faith, and the one who shrinks back, my soul has no delight in him. So he's going to say, but you guys are not of those who shrink back, but those who have faith and perseverance, and you save your soul through that perseverance. And then he's going to go through this all of the, and now faith is the conviction of things that we don't see. And it's not talking about faith is the conviction that of everything that you don't see, you believe it, but the things talked about in the entire book of Hebrews and in all of the scriptures. The redemption that you don't see, if you have that conviction and you live accordingly as though it's true, then that is what's called faith, right? It's living with the conviction that the things you yet don't see, but God has promised, those will certainly come. And then he goes through this list from Abraham to Noah and the prophets. And he's going to get through in chapter 11. He says, now look, they all died not having received what was promised. And then we're going to start in chapter 12. And he's going to say, therefore, since we have so great a cloud of witnesses, So, granted, witnesses has two functions. In English, just like in Greek. And a witness is somebody who's looking, and but it's also somebody who is. It's the same word for a like in Acts 1. You will receive power when the Spirit has come upon you, and you will be my witnesses. Did that mean they were going to go around staring at people? No, of course not. That meant they were going to go and announce the truth to people, the things that they had heard from Jesus. And so this is the way they're using this word now. Since we have such a great cloud of people testifying that were just listed in chapter 11, testifying to us, that ought to motivate you. Lay aside every encumbrance and sin, the things that are entangling you. Run with endurance the race that is set before you. Look at these guys. God set them up as a witness for you. And this is what God's always done, right? He's always set leaders or pioneers as witnesses. And this is what he did. He did this with Abraham and with Noah and with Moses and with David. He demonstrated that their faith will be rewarded. The first prayer of the Amidah in the Shmoneh Esrei, the Jewish prayer, prayed daily by the Orthodox community, says, "Blessed are you." Getting down a little bit lower, it says, "We know that you don't forget the chesed, the loyalty of the patriarchs. We know that Abraham is yet going to get his reward," right? Like Stephen says in Acts chapter 7, what God promised to Abraham, and he never received a square foot of land as an inheritance. In chapter 11, it's going to say, he went in, and because he was sure that he was waiting for a city whose builder and maker was God, he went in, didn't see that city, and so he pitched a tent instead of building a house because he knew it wasn't for them. And this is a demonstration of his faith. And so he's going to set these guys as examples before this congregation again. He's going to say, brothers, if God has set this company of witnesses testifying to you, you ought to look at their example and receive strength so that you can run with endurance the race that's set before you, and lay aside encumbrance and sin and the turning back and the shying away from suffering. You ought to learn from their example. This is what's commendable before God, and this is what will be exalted on the day of the Lord. So it's a small reading, right? What is the cloud of witnesses? Is it a cloud of onlookers, or is it a cloud, this company from chapter 11 that are testifying to you by their lives? Not necessarily that they're looking down from heaven observing you. That doesn't necessarily give strength to anyone. But if we contemplate the lives that were commended by God from the Hebrew scriptures and beyond, and especially what he's going to highlight here in verse 2, fix your eyes on Jesus who endured the cross. So we fix our eyes on the examples that God has left for us, the chief, of course, being the Messiah. And we allow that to strengthen us and give us endurance to run the race that God's put before us. So anyways, I hope this little explanation is fruitful and not just cheesy picking on common readings of the scripture. So anyways, Lord be with you guys. Shalom.